Ladies and gentlemen, life is a gift, and its journey often brings with it a profound question: what happens after death? It's a question that transcends cultures, beliefs, and time itself. While the mystery of death remains, we are not left without understanding. Let us explore this concept with clarity and purpose. Death is not the end, but a transition. To truly grasp this, one must understand the essence of life itself. Life, as we know it, is a temporary assignment. It is a fleeting moment in the vast expanse of eternity. When a person dies, it is not a termination of existence, but a movement, a crossing over from one phase of existence to another. Just as a seed must leave the ground to grow into its full potential, so too must we pass through the doorway of death to step into the fullness of what lies beyond. Imagine life as a caterpillar in its cocoon. While confined within, it may seem like the end, but it is merely a stage of transformation. When the cocoon is shed, the butterfly emerges in its true form, ready to take flight. Death is much the same. It is the shedding of the physical to release the eternal. What we perceive as the end is only the beginning of something greater, something far more significant than what we experience here on earth. The transition through death is not one to be feared, but one to be understood. Fear comes from ignorance, but knowledge brings peace. Death is simply a passage, a journey from the temporary to the eternal, from the visible to the invisible, from the physical to the spiritual. It is the natural conclusion of one chapter and the commencement of another in a story that has no end. When you view life through this lens, you begin to live differently. You see that every moment is a preparation for what's next. You start to recognize that your time here is a divine assignment, meant to equip you for the eternal purpose waiting on the other side. Life is not measured by its length, but by its depth, by how well you fulfill your assignment and how prepared you are for the transition to come. This perspective changes everything. It shifts your focus from mere survival to intentional living. You begin to invest in what truly matters, knowing that this life is not the ultimate destination, but a journey toward the eternal. When the time comes to transition, it is not the end of you, but the continuation of who you truly are. The question is not if you will transition, but how prepared you are to embrace it when the time comes. Your life is the seed of eternity, and every moment you live is like a farmer sowing into a field. Each thought, each word, each action carries eternal significance. Seeds are small, almost unnoticeable, yet they contain within them the potential for an entire forest. Similarly, your life on earth, though seemingly brief and finite, holds within it the essence of what will be reaped in eternity. Consider the purpose of a seed. It is not meant to remain dormant. Its destiny is to grow, to flourish, and to produce fruit. The same is true for you. Every decision you make, every relationship you build, every purpose you fulfill is a seed planted in the soil of eternity. What you nurture in this life determines the harvest you will experience beyond it. This is why intentional living is so critical. Many people live as though their actions are isolated moments, disconnected from a larger reality. But nothing is wasted, and nothing is without consequence. The choices you make today ripple into the eternal. The love you show, the wisdom you pursue, the integrity you uphold, they are all investments into a future that is far greater than what you see now. Seeds also require cultivation. They need care, attention, and the right environment to grow. In the same way, your life requires intentionality. What you feed your mind, what you allow into your heart, and the values you hold close are like the soil and water for the seed of your existence. Neglect it, and the seed withers. Cultivate it, and it thrives, bearing fruit that will last forever. Think about this: no seed produces fruit immediately. There is a process. Time, patience, and growth are required. In life, this process might be uncomfortable or even painful at times, but it is necessary. Growth is not always visible to the human eye, but beneath the surface, roots are being established, and the foundation is being laid for what will one day be revealed. Living with the understanding that your life is the seed of eternity changes everything. You no longer live for temporary pleasures or fleeting achievements. Instead, you begin to ask, what am I planting today? Will the fruit of my life benefit others? Will it align with the eternal purpose for which I was created? These questions guide you toward a life of significance and legacy. When you see your life as a seed, you realize that death is not the destruction of what you have built. It is the moment when the true harvest begins. The fruits of your labor, your love, and your obedience to purpose will carry forward into eternity, where they will be fully realized. This is the great truth of existence. Your life matters, not just for today, but forever. Purpose does not end with death because purpose is eternal. It is not confined to the years you spend on earth. It is rooted in something far greater than time. Purpose is the reason for existence, and it is woven into the fabric of who you are. When your time on this earth concludes, the purpose for which you were created does not cease. It continues, carried forward in the legacy you leave behind and in the eternal plan for which you were designed. Every individual is born with a specific purpose, a unique assignment to fulfill. This purpose is not something you invent, it is something you discover. It is already within you, placed there as part of a divine plan. Death does not cancel that plan, it transitions it. Just as a builder's design exists beyond the construction of a building, so too does your purpose extend beyond your earthly existence. The impact of a purposeful life reaches further than the boundaries of time. Consider the lives of those who have gone before us. Their words, their actions, and their commitments to their assignments still influence the world today. This is evidence that purpose is not bound by mortality. Purpose transcends, it multiplies, and it leaves a legacy that continues to speak long after you are gone. Purpose is also connected to eternity, because it is part of a greater eternal design. What you do in this life is not just for the present moment, it is a contribution to a larger, ongoing story. Even when your physical presence is no longer here, the essence of your purpose remains. It lives on in the lives you have touched, in the principles you upheld, and in the eternal impact of the decisions you made. Understanding this truth changes the way you approach life. It reminds you that your purpose is bigger than you. It is not about accumulating wealth, fame, or accolades that will fade away. It is about fulfilling the unique role you were created to play in the eternal plan. When you live with purpose, you plant seeds that bear fruit not only in this life but also in the life to come. Purpose is also what gives life its meaning and death its context. Without purpose, life feels fleeting and death feels final. But when you live with a sense of destiny, you understand that your time on earth is a chapter, not the entire story. Death is merely a turning of the page, a transition to a continuation of the purpose you were created for. Your purpose on earth is to prepare you for what comes next. It is not confined to the here and now. Everything you do, every moment you live with intention, builds upon that purpose and strengthens its eternal significance. The legacy you leave behind is a reflection of the purpose you live for. And when your time on earth is done, your purpose will continue to inspire, to teach, and to influence, echoing throughout eternity. This understanding calls you to live intentionally, to pursue your purpose with passion and focus. It reminds you that every action matters, every choice contributes, and every moment has eternal value. Death does not end your purpose, it amplifies it, carrying it forward into the eternal realm where it will reach its fullest expression. The body dies, but the spirit lives on because the essence of who we are is not tied to flesh and bone. The physical body is a temporary vessel, a container designed to house the eternal part of you, your spirit. While the body may weaken, age, and eventually return to the dust from which it came, the spirit within you cannot be destroyed. It exists beyond the limitations of time, space, and mortality. To understand this, think of the body as a shell. It is a physical form that allows you to function in the natural world. But who you truly are, your thoughts, emotions, creativity, and will is housed within the spirit. The body allows you to interact with the material world, but it is not your true identity. When death comes, it is merely the separation of the spirit from the body. The body ceases, but the spirit moves into its eternal state. This truth reveals the temporary nature of physical life and the enduring nature of the spirit. The body, no matter how well cared for, will eventually wear out. It is subject to the laws of nature, time, decay, and mortality. However, the spirit is not bound by these laws. It is eternal, created to exist beyond the constraints of the physical realm. This understanding shifts our focus from the transient to the eternal. Many people spend their lives consumed with the care and preservation of the body, often neglecting the spirit. They invest in outward appearances, material possessions, and physical achievements, forgetting that these things are fleeting. The body is important. It serves as the vehicle for your purpose on earth, but it is not the ultimate destination. When the body ceases, it is the spirit that continues its journey. The spirit carries with it the essence of your life, your choices, your beliefs, your values, and your character. These are not left behind with the body, they follow the spirit into eternity. This is why the cultivation of the inner self is so important. How you nurture your spirit, the priorities you set, and the principles you live by shape your eternal existence. Death, then, is not something to fear, but something to understand. It is not the end of you, but the beginning of a new phase of existence. Just as a tree does not mourn the falling of its leaves, we should not view the passing of the body as the loss of life. It is simply the release of the spirit from its earthly vessel, allowing it to step into a realm that is not bound by the limitations of the physical world. Recognizing that the spirit lives on also gives purpose to the way we live now. It reminds us that what we do in this life has eternal consequences. It compels us to live with intention, to value what truly matters, and to prepare for the life to come. The temporary nature of the body should inspire us to focus on the eternal significance of the spirit. This perspective also brings comfort in the face of loss. When a loved one departs, their spirit does not cease to exist. It continues, carrying with it the essence of who they are. This truth provides hope, reminding us that while the body may return to the earth, the spirit moves into the presence of eternity, where it awaits the fulfillment of all things. The body is a gift, a tool for this life, but it is not the ultimate reality. It serves its purpose and then returns to the earth, while the spirit continues on its eternal journey. Embrace this truth, and it will transform the way you live, the way you view death, and the way you understand the meaning of life itself. Judgment is inevitable because accountability is built into the fabric of existence. Every action, thought, and decision carries with it consequences, whether seen or unseen, immediate or delayed. Judgment is not meant to provoke fear, but to remind us of the profound truth that life is purposeful, and purpose demands responsibility. When life ends, it does not mark the cessation of accountability. It is merely the point where the balance of all our choices is brought into the light. Imagine a steward entrusted with resources by a master. The steward is given freedom to manage, invest, and utilize those resources as they see fit, but with the understanding that a time of accountability will come. Life operates on this same principle. Each of us is entrusted with time, talents, relationships, and opportunities. These are not given randomly, they are gifts for which we are responsible. The day will come when we must give an account for how we use them, not to punish, but to evaluate how well we aligned with the purpose for which they were given. This accountability is universal. No one is exempt. It transcends social status, wealth, or power. Whether known by many or by few, every individual must stand accountable for their life. This is not a matter of fear, but of fairness. It ensures that justice is upheld, that deeds done in secret are brought to light, and that everyone is measured not by the standards of the world, but by the eternal principles that govern life itself. Judgment also reveals the true nature of our choices. In life, it is easy to disguise motives, to hide intentions, and to perform actions that seem good on the surface but lack integrity beneath. Judgment removes the mask, exposing the heart behind the deed. It evaluates not only what was done, but why it was done. This is why living with authenticity and integrity is so important. It is not about appearances, it is about truth. The inevitability of judgment should inspire reflection, not dread. It reminds us to pause and examine our lives, to ask hard questions about our priorities, our values, and our actions. Are we living for fleeting pleasures, or are we investing in what truly matters? Are we guided by selfish ambition, or are we aligning ourselves with principles that have eternal significance? Judgment provides clarity, urging us to live with purpose and intentionality. Judgment is also a moment of revelation. It reveals the true weight of our lives, not measured by the applause of others, but by the legacy we leave behind and the eternal impact of our choices. It highlights the opportunities we seized, the relationships we valued, and the sacrifices we made for a greater cause. Conversely, it also reveals the areas where we fell short, not to condemn, but to teach and bring awareness. Understanding that judgment is inevitable should instill humility. It reminds us that no one is perfect, and all are accountable. It calls for compassion, urging us to treat others with grace, knowing that we too will face a day when we are measured. It is a call to forgive, to extend mercy, and to live in a way that reflects the principles we wish to be judged by. Judgment is not the end, it is a moment of transition. It separates what is temporary from what is eternal, what is superficial from what is lasting. It brings clarity to the meaning of life, reminding us that we are not aimlessly wandering through existence, but walking a path with purpose and direction. Life is a gift, and judgment is the moment when we account for how we use that gift. It is a time of reckoning that ensures justice, honors truth, and upholds the eternal principles that guide the universe. Embrace this truth, and let it inspire you to live wisely, love deeply, and walk intentionally, knowing that every choice matters and every life will be measured by the purpose it was meant to fulfill. Eternal separation or eternal connection is the ultimate reality that awaits us after death, determined by the choices we make in life. Life is not merely a series of random events, but a journey filled with decisions that shape our eternal destiny. These decisions are not just about right and wrong. They are about alignment, aligning our lives with truth, purpose, and the principles that govern eternity. Separation is not a punishment inflicted, but a consequence chosen. To understand this, consider how relationships work. When two people walk in harmony, sharing values, goals, and love, their connection deepens. But when one consistently rejects or disregards the other, distance grows. The same is true of our relationship with the eternal. To reject the principles of truth, love, and purpose is to choose separation. It is not imposed. It is the natural outcome of a life that turns away from the source of life itself. Connection, on the other hand, is the reward of alignment. It is the fulfillment of living in harmony with the design and intent for which you were created. It is stepping into a realm where the barriers of time, space, and limitation fall away, and you are fully united with the eternal purpose. This connection is not earned through perfection, but through intention, through a life lived with awareness of the higher calling placed upon you. Separation and connection begin in this life. Every choice, every action, every belief moves us closer to one or the other. It is not a sudden shift that happens at the moment of death. It is the culmination of a journey. Just as a tree's fruit reflects the care received throughout its growth, your eternal state reflects the seeds you sowed and nurtured during your life. This reality emphasizes the importance of intentional living. Too often, people drift through life without considering where their choices are leading. They chase temporary satisfaction, ignoring the deeper call of eternity. But life is not a game of chance, it is a path of purpose. To walk in alignment with truth is to choose connection. To ignore it is to risk separation. Eternal separation is not just about distance, it is about the absence of everything meaningful. Imagine a life void of purpose, love, joy, and peace. This is the essence of separation, a state where the soul, having rejected connection, exists apart from the source of life. It is not merely a place, but a condition of being, one that reflects the decisions made in life to prioritize self over purpose, fear over love, and temporary gain over eternal significance. Conversely, eternal connection is the fulfillment of the soul's deepest longing. It is where love, joy, and purpose reach their fullest expression. It is where the limitations of the physical fall away, and the spirit enters into the fullness of its design. This connection is the ultimate reward of a life lived in alignment, not through perfection, but through a consistent pursuit of truth, growth, and intentionality. This truth calls for deep reflection. Where are your choices leading you? Are you building a life that draws you closer to eternal connection? Or are you drifting towards separation through neglect and indifference? These questions are not meant to induce fear, but to inspire action. They are an invitation to evaluate your life and make adjustments that align with your eternal purpose. Life is precious because it determines eternity. Every decision, no matter how small, contributes to the direction you are heading. Eternal separation or connection is not arbitrary, it is the result of a series of choices. Understanding this empowers you to live with purpose, to prioritize what truly matters, and to embrace the principles that lead to connection rather than separation. In the end, eternal connection is the fulfillment of life's deepest calling, while eternal separation is the consequence of rejecting that call. The choice is ours to make, and it is one that begins now. Choose wisely, for what you decide in this life echoes into eternity. The legacy of life does not end with death, because what we do, who we are, and how we live extends far beyond the physical. A true legacy is not carved in stone or written in books, it is etched into the lives of those we touch and the principles we uphold. Long after the body rests, the The impact of our words, actions, and choices continues to ripple through time, shaping futures and influencing generations. Legacy is not about material possessions or worldly accolades. These things fade and are forgotten, replaced by the next moment's successes or failures. Real legacy is intangible yet enduring. It is the influence of a life well lived, the example of courage in the face of adversity, the wisdom shared in quiet moments, and the love given freely without expectation. It is what others carry forward because of the values you instilled and the purpose you fulfilled. Every decision you make contributes to your legacy. It is like planting seeds in a field you may never personally harvest. The kindness you show, the knowledge you share, the vision you inspire in others, these are the seeds that grow long after you are gone. While you may not see the full fruit of your labor in this lifetime, the impact remains, passed on through those who were touched by your life. Consider the power of influence. A single word of encouragement can change the trajectory of someone's life. A bold act of integrity can inspire a culture of honesty. A selfless sacrifice can ignite a spirit of generosity in others. These moments, though seemingly small, form the foundation of a legacy that endures. Your influence does not end with your earthly existence, it continues to echo, shaping the world in ways you may never fully understand. Legacy is also about principles. The world changes, trends fade, and circumstances evolve, but principles are timeless. They are the anchors that guide people through uncertainty and challenge. When you live by principles of truth, love, and purpose, you leave behind more than memories, you leave a compass for others to follow. Your legacy becomes a beacon, illuminating the path for those who come after you. Even in death, the essence of who you are remains alive in the lessons you taught and the values you lived. Think about those who have left a profound impact on the world. Their physical presence may no longer be here, but their words, their courage, and their unwavering commitment to purpose continue to inspire. This is the power of legacy. It transcends the grave, extending into the future to shape what is yet to come. Building a meaningful legacy requires intentionality. It is not about perfection, but about living with purpose and consistency. It is about asking, what will I leave behind? What will others remember about my life? The answers to these questions are not found in wealth or fame, but in the way you treated others, the values you stood for, and the principles you passed on. Your legacy is also a reflection of the relationships you nurtured. How you loved, how you forgave, and how you invested in others speaks louder than any achievement. It is through people that your legacy finds its greatest expression, as they carry forward what they learned from you into their own lives and beyond. Death is not the conclusion of your story, it is the continuation of your influence. It is the moment when the full impact of your life begins to unfold, free from the limitations of time and space. The seeds you planted, the principles you upheld, and the love you gave all continue to bear fruit, creating a legacy that endures for eternity. To live with this truth in mind, each day, each choice, and each relationship contributes to a legacy that will outlast your physical presence. Let your life be a testament to purpose, integrity, and love, ensuring that long after you are gone, the essence of who you are continues to inspire, guide, and impact the world. Eternity is the true measure of life because it reveals the ultimate purpose for which we were created. Life as we know it is finite, a brief chapter in a much greater story. The span of years we experience on earth is not the full extent of our existence, but a preparation, a prelude to something far greater. Eternity places everything into perspective, showing us that the temporal is not the ultimate reality, but merely a stepping stone to the infinite. Time is a gift, but it is also a test. Each moment, each opportunity, and each relationship are entrusted to us, not just for their immediate value, but for their eternal significance. The decisions we make and the lives we touch are not confined to the boundaries of this earthly life. They extend into eternity, shaping not only our destiny, but the destinies of those around us. To live with an awareness of eternity is to understand that every action carries weight, every word has power, and every choice contributes to a reality beyond what we can see. Eternity shifts our focus from the fleeting to the lasting. It reminds us that the treasures we accumulate on earth, wealth, status, achievements, are temporary and will one day fade. The only treasures that endure are those rooted in love, truth, and purpose. When we live with eternity in mind, we prioritize differently. We invest in relationships, in character, and principles that outlive us. We seek to leave behind not just memories but a legacy of values and impact that carries forward into the infinite. Living with an eternal perspective transforms how we view challenges and suffering. Difficulties in life can feel overwhelming when seen only through the lens of the present. But eternity reveals that trials are temporary and often serve a greater purpose. They refine us, teach us, and prepare us for the greater reality beyond this life. With eternity in view, pain becomes a tool for growth, and loss becomes a transition rather than an end. Eternity also underscores the importance of purpose. Every individual is born with a unique design, a specific role to play in the grand narrative of existence. This purpose is not limited to time, it is tied to the eternal. When we live in alignment with our purpose, we contribute to something far greater than ourselves. We become part of a story that does not end with our last breath but continues to unfold in the realm beyond time. The concept of eternity reminds us that life is interconnected. The choices we make ripple outward, affecting not only our immediate surroundings but the broader tapestry of existence. What we do today has implications far beyond what we can imagine. This awareness calls us to live intentionally, to act with wisdom, and to seek what is truly meaningful rather than what is merely convenient. Eternity also provides hope. In a world marked by impermanence and uncertainty, the promise of something lasting brings peace. It assures us that the struggles of this life are not the entirety of our story. There is more to come. A reality where fulfillment replaces longing, and where the limitations of this world give way to boundless possibility. To embrace eternity is to live with both humility and courage. Humility, because we recognize that our time on earth is a gift, not a guarantee. Courage, because we understand that what we do with that gift matters profoundly. It empowers us to take risks, to stand for truth, and to live boldly, knowing that the ultimate measure of our lives is not confined to the few decades we have on earth, but extends into the infinite expanse of forever. Eternity reveals the true essence of life. It shows us that existence is not a random occurrence but a deliberate design filled with meaning and purpose. It calls us to rise above the distractions of the moment, to see the bigger picture, and to live in a way that reflects the eternal nature of our being. To live with eternity in mind is to walk in alignment with the greatest truths, preparing not just for the end of life but for the fullness of life that awaits beyond. Death is not the final defeat but a transition into a new realm of existence. To view it as an end is to misunderstand its purpose. Life as we know it is but a chapter in a larger story, and death is the doorway that leads us from the temporal into the eternal. It is not a termination but a transformation, a moment when the finite gives way to the infinite, and the physical yields to the spiritual. From the very beginning, existence has always been about movement and progression. A seed does not remain a seed, it dies to become a tree. A caterpillar does not remain confined to its cocoon, it undergoes a transformation to emerge as a butterfly. In the same way, life moves toward a greater purpose, and death is a part of that journey. It is not the defeat of life but its completion in one form and its continuation in another. Death reminds us of the temporary nature of the physical world. Our bodies, though remarkable, are not eternal. They age, weaken, and eventually return to the dust from which they came. But the essence of who we are, our spirit, cannot be confined or extinguished. The body may perish, but the spirit transitions, stepping into a realm where the limitations of time and space no longer apply. This truth reframes how we view the challenges and struggles of life. The pains of the present are not the final word. They are part of the refining process, shaping us for what lies beyond. Just as gold is purified by fire, life's difficulties prepare us for the transition into a greater existence. Death is not defeat, but a release from the burdens of this world, allowing the spirit to enter into the fullness of its design. The idea that death is defeat stems from a misunderstanding of purpose. Life is not about accumulation or survival, it is about preparation. Every moment, every experience, and every relationship are shaping us for what is to come. Death is not the end of that preparation, but the fulfillment of it. It is the moment when we step into the reality for which we were created, leaving behind the temporary and embracing the eternal. Victory over death is not achieved through denial or avoidance, but through understanding and acceptance. When we recognize that death is part of the journey, we can live with freedom and intentionality. We no longer fear the inevitable but embrace life fully, knowing that its value is not measured by its length but by its depth and impact. We live with the awareness that death is not an interruption but a transition into something greater. Death also brings clarity. It strips away the distractions and illusions of life, revealing what truly matters. It reminds us that wealth, status, and possessions are fleeting, while love, purpose, and integrity endure. When we live with this awareness, we prioritize differently. We focus on what has lasting significance, ensuring that our lives are aligned with the principles that transcend the physical. Victory over death is found in purpose. To live a life of purpose is to ensure that death does not have the final say. Purpose transcends the grave, extending into eternity. It is what gives our lives meaning and ensures that our impact continues long after we are gone. Purpose is the bridge between life and eternity, connecting the finite with the infinite. Ultimately, death is not a defeat but a reminder of life's true nature. It calls us to live with urgency and intentionality, to embrace each moment as a gift, and to prepare for what lies beyond. It reminds us that life is precious, not because it is fragile, but because it is purposeful. Death is not an ending but a doorway, not a loss but a gain, as it leads us into the fulfillment of our eternal destiny. To understand death in this way is to walk in victory. It is to face the inevitable with peace, knowing that it is not the end but a continuation. It is to live fully and freely, aware that every moment matters and every decision contributes to the greater purpose for which we were created. Death is not a defeat, it is the completion of one chapter and the glorious beginning of another. Death is the final step in a journey that we are all on, but it is not a journey that ends in darkness or despair. It is a passage into the fulfillment of the purpose for which we were created. To see death merely as an end is to ignore its deeper meaning, its role in the unfolding of the greater story. The truth is that death is a transition, a step from one phase of existence to the next. It is the moment when the spirit, having been refined through life, is released from the confines of the physical body and enters into the eternal. This understanding changes everything about how we live. If we believe that death is the end, we will live as if we are only passing through time, focused solely on the present, on what is immediate, on what is temporary. But when we recognize that death is not an ending but a doorway to what is greater, we begin to live with purpose, with an awareness that our actions today shape not just the future but eternity itself. Life becomes not just about surviving or achieving temporary satisfaction but about fulfilling a higher calling, about preparing for the life that is to come. The finality of death does not lie in its physicality. The body, frail and temporary, may pass away, but the soul, the essence of who we are, is eternal. The spirit that lives within us does not die. It simply moves from one state of being to another. It moves from the limitations of the physical realm into the vastness of the spiritual, where time and space no longer constrain it. This is why the moment of death is not a defeat, but rather a victory over the temporal, over the finite, over the finite. It is the triumph of the eternal spirit that lives on. To truly live with an awareness of this victory, we must begin to see life differently. We must recognize that what we do today, how we live, and the choices we make matter far beyond our lifetime. Life is not about mere survival or the pursuit of personal comfort, it is about preparing for eternity. Every moment is an opportunity to align our hearts and our actions with the greater purpose that awaits us. The way we live, the way we love, the way we serve others, these are the things that transcend death. They are the investments that continue to bear fruit long after we are gone. Living with this eternal perspective brings clarity. We no longer chase after fleeting success or temporary recognition. Instead, we focus on building something that will last beyond the grave. Our relationships, our character, our impact on the world, these are the things that matter. They are the things that live on after we leave. We begin to ask ourselves, what will remain of me when I am gone? What difference have I made in the lives of others? Have I lived in a way that reflects the higher purpose for which I was created? To live with victory over death is to live intentionally. It is to understand that death is not a random event that happens at the end of life, but a natural part of the divine plan, a plan that involves each of us playing a unique role in the unfolding story of eternity. Life is not a waiting room for death. It is the stage on which we prepare for the greater existence to come. Every moment is an opportunity to become more aligned with the truth of who we are, and to live out the purpose for which we were placed on this earth. Ultimately, death is a reminder that life is fragile. It is a reminder that time is limited, and that every moment is precious. But it is also a reminder that our true essence is eternal, and that what we do in this life has the power to shape eternity. We are not meant to live in fear of death, but to live in such a way that when it comes, we can face it with peace, knowing that we have fulfilled the purpose we were created for. Death does not bring an end to our story, it marks the beginning of something even greater. It is the ultimate victory, the completion of the journey, and the doorway to the fulfillment of everything we were meant to be. To live in light of this truth is to live with courage, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the eternal. And when we approach life in this way, we do not fear death. Instead, we embrace it as a step forward, knowing that in the end, it is not the end at all. It is the glorious continuation of our existence in a realm where our true selves are fully realized.